So welcome to Simple Shamanic Soup number 2. So I'm going to show you this one because I went to my organic vegetable stall yesterday evening just before it got dark, and welcome to June. June is such a wonderful thing when you're wanting to buy your vegetables fresh or you're growing, because then that's when things start to become available. So I've got these wonderful carrots. And one of the ways I know they're wonderful is I put it to my nose and I sniff, and I haven't even cut it yet. There's such a strong carroty aroma that's rising up into my nostrils. Now when I buy the supermarket carrots, especially the ones in the plastic bags, I put those next to my nose, even the organic ones, and I smell nothing. So if you can possibly grow your own, that's state of the art. Can't possibly do better. Failing that, if you can find a local source for your vegetables, like a farm shop. For me, it's not a farm shop, it's just a stall by the side of the road. You weigh your vegetables, you put your money in the tin. Such a lovely system. So I'm going to make my simple shamanic soup, and I'm going to start off. I've got my pan over here and I'll put a little bit of heat on there, and the first thing I'll do is I'll put some coconut oil. This is one from Sri Lanka, one of my favourites. So I'll just take a teaspoon and put that in. And while that is melting, I will start off with this onion. When your onions are fresh, such a different experience. And yes, so it literally flies through the onion like butter on the top there. So I'm glad I warned myself and reminded myself that I've got a knife that's really going to do the business. Be extra careful with it. And then I'll just peel off the outer layers, as you would always do. And I'm going for a traditional old school technique, which is called the half moon slices. I'm sure you're familiar with this one, and if you're not, stick around, because that's what we're about to do. So the half moon slice is literally like this. I like to hold my knife at this kind of a position so I've got a good grip on it, and I'm literally just using my fingers to prevent the sharp part of the knife from touching my hand. And I'm operating rather like a microtome, which is a device which is used in medical pathology for making very thin sections of tissues for examination under the microscope. So here I am, and I'm slicing some nice thin half moon onion slices. And this is a sensual experience in its own right. And it gives you a sense of mastery over material existence. Very satisfying, and I can just turn it over the other side and it gets a bit smaller and carry on. And when it gets really small, I can just turn it 90 degrees and do this. That'll give me a variety of sizes of onion slice. I'm just playing about here, obviously, so it's a great idea to have some water by you when you're cooking. If like me, you haven't drunk enough water yet today, this is the time to do it before consuming the food. When you serve water with a meal, you're diluting your digestive enzymes and ruining the whole point of the eating, which is to turn that food into wonderful energy. So if you ever have water on the table, realise you're doing that because you didn't drink enough beforehand. So if you haven't drunk enough beforehand, when you start to cook, it's a perfect time. Activating the DNA is what water does. And on to the next one. You can cut the onions whichever way you like, but I like to slice them thinly so that when they get into contact with the hot oil in the pan, which is alchemy. So I've got fire in the form of heat. I'm going to expose them to thyme. I'm also going to expose them to some salt. Then those onions will glaze, which is a lovely thing to experience. So the lid's there already, so I'm going to now look at the advantage of this knife. I can get a lot of onions onto the blade of the knife, and that's the way I like to do it. So can you see that it's just so much easier than pissing about with something like that, isn't it? This is a wonderful knife, but not for this particular purpose. So that's the way I like to do that particular operation. Now, this is something I set up earlier. I'm putting some lentils in this soup, so I just got myself a couple of tablespoons of lentils, just soaking them in water for 20 minutes, and that will come in a bit. Now I want to sprinkle my salt on, because the salt is going to react with the onion and the heat and the oil and cause some alchemy, softening, literally. Lid on, I'll turn that up a little bit now, because I'm using one of these strange electric hobs which are very slow response time. Something I'm going to do is, I've done a lot the last couple of days, so I need to recharge. So I'm recharging with this ginseng tea, the ginseng fragments. This is red Korean ginseng, one of the best on the planet. Boiling water, leave it for 5 minutes. I've got a film on UT Shaman about making ginseng tea, and I've got this honey. Let me introduce you to this honey. I'm also very excited about this. This is raw, unpasteurized honey from the same stall as the vegetables. And when I took the lid off last night, when I got home and I did this, I went, oh, yes. Go on, just really get a whiff of that honey, because that is so aromatic, that is so flavorful, it's obviously floral. So what I've done is I've put a teaspoon of this raw, exquisite honey into this cup, and this is not what you normally do with tea, but with the ginseng tea you pour the whole lot in there, because I want every fragment. Ginseng is not a cheap substance, it's come all the way from Korea, paid my money for it. Really going to appreciate and honour this plant to the max. A little bit more water, and from now on I can start to treat myself. And the flavour is so grounding, rich, deep, vitality, strength, essence of the plant. Honey acting as the bridge between the ginseng plant and me, the human. The ginseng plant fragments reincarnating into human flesh. That's what happens. So I've got my little onions in there. Now when I'm cooking a soup, or actually when I'm cooking anything at all, I always want, to me, the second kitchen tool. You use a knife, that stands to reason. Pair of chopsticks, so superior to any spoon in my personal opinion. You can get in there. I'm actually going to break up these onion fragments where they need to just be separated and loosened a bit more. That will aid the process of the melting. And it feels good. And it sounds good, doesn't it? It's quite something. So a little bit of that, a little bit of ASMR on the onions there. Let's show you, let's come on. Now get a whiff of these. Yeah, just get a whiff of these. It's a little bit pungent, isn't it? It's pungent, sulphur. Sulphur's coming out of these onions. It's one of the main minerals you find in onions. Onions are very powerful food, which is why the entire Indian Ayurvedic cuisine is based around the onions. Such a powerful plant spirit to work with. So I've been washing in advance, so I've got these carrots. So this is a thing, when it's not a supermarket carrot, we get what we call interesting carrots. I mean, this is just a little dude off to a party, isn't it? Just incredible, really nice. And this one is just kind of doing its thing. So let's get in with these. So what I will do, left-handed, I have to do it round this way. You'd be doing it the opposite way around yourself, of course, if you're right-handed. So there's lots of ways I can do this, and this one I'm going to do it into the halves and the quarters, like that. And I'm going to turn the whole thing on a slanted angle, and I'm going to slice my carrots like this. And this means that as I slice each piece, each piece has got some of the edge and some of the centre. This is a macrobiotic technique, and it's all to do with wanting to create the balance in your cuisine. Now, if I was to put this to my nose, it's like, oh my goodness me, right, I'm literally knocked back because the smell is so strong. Now I've actually opened the carrot. So I can just begin to imagine the flavour sensations I'm going to be experiencing when I eat this particular dish. And because the ingredients are so fresh and there's so much vitality, I'm not going to be putting any spices or herbs in. So I want to taste these vegetables direct, without any augmentation. Normally I would want to put a little bit of coriander powder in. Be very appropriate for the carrot, but no, today keep it really simple, really old school. Now when it comes to these little bits, people who don't know better would throw that away. That is the will force of the plant. So we emphatically want this to be in our soup. A very big, yes, there's little root fragments, just slicing them up there. So that's one method. Now the other carrot. So look at the other carrot. So we're going to show you a different technique for this one. This actually achieves the same ends but through a different means. This is called pencil shavings. So I'm going to cut the carrot at that angle. I'm going to rotate it 90 degrees. I rotate and I cut. I rotate and I cut. If you've never done pencil shavings, it is a really satisfying thing to do. Very pleasurable, very grounding, very grounded. And yet again you can see periphery and centre in each piece. So we're working alchemically, we're working mindfully, we're working with the spirits of these plants. And I haven't said this, but of course it tends to go without saying for me, and I need to just say, I need to be more revealing. So gratitude, it's the gratitude with which I grabbed hold of these carrots out of the box that they were in the market stall by the side of the road and put them onto the weighing scales. And the appreciation, the gratitude I'm feeling as I'm slicing the carrots now, so they're ready to go in. So because I'm talking, which of course I don't normally do when I'm cooking on my own, it means that I've taken long enough that those have actually melted rather lovely. So a lovely bit of melting going on there. There we are. Onions are melting nicely. So I'll tell you what, I'm going to give them just another couple of minutes. And next, in with the potatoes. Cut the potatoes any manner of ways. I'm going to do like this and like this. And then I'm going to do it like this. Just the way I feel like doing it this morning. I tend to go for quite small pieces in a soup. A lot of people like to whiz their soups up with a whizzer or a blender. And I don't. I like to eat my soups as it is. And it's partly having lived all those years, low impact off grid, living in caravans, boats, yurts, benders, all those different outdoor low impact structures, and not having access to electricity. So for a whole bunch of years I never had access to such things, so I'm used to doing things more original style-y. And here comes the third and last of the potatoes. I'm not removing the skin. These are new potatoes. The skins are very thin. The skins are full of nutrition. And the other thing is that I've only given these what I would call everything's been given a mild washing. I don't scrub things to within an inch of its life, because I know that I want some of the microbiome on the periphery of the vegetable to enter into my body and become one with my gut and increase my gut bioflora, biodiversity, which is such a good thing to do, because it means that the gut is happy. When the gut is happy, the brain is happy. It all connects. So that really easy enough on the wordage front. Now, I don't know if you can see this, but you're getting the very, very beginnings of the first caramelization. Tiny little bits of brown just starting to begin there. Very happy with that. So I got my salt, got my oil, so now I'm going to go for my carrots. And then I'm going to move on to the potatoes. And this slow response hob, I need to turn it down. And I will just stir them in. Well, all I want to do now is to lightly coat the vegetables with the salt oil mix. And I'm going to go for a little bit of this kale. So let's use 2 pieces after all, right? Slice down the middle, and then again, so I end up with 4. Bunch them all together, and then just, this shows how finely you can slice if you've got a decent sharp knife and you understand the technique I'm using with the way I'm holding the fingers there, like a microtome in medical pathology when you want to examine the cells under the microscope to look for disease or vibrant health. So there it goes. Delicious crunchy sound of the knife slicing effortlessly through the plant material. So let's add this one as well. And in we go. So very carefully and gently with that finger, moving the pieces off both sides. Again, a little stir. Now, because I live near the sea, I have the great delight of collecting my own seaweed. So, soup cooking is a form of alchemy whereby you are mixing and blending spirits of plants, and if you were to add them, animals as well. So this is Ulva lactuca, which is sea lettuce. That's one I'm very familiar with. And the other one, I don't know the name of it, but it's a darker one. So I'm going to give a generous shake of these into the pan. Cause my partner to be, oh my goodness me, using so much seaweed. And I'll give that a little stir. Because I'm making this a very simple soup. I'm almost there now with my ingredients. So soups are wonderful creations. What's going on is you've got alchemy. All these different plant spirits are melding together. Just going to give it another couple of minutes. So talk about what's going in next. So we've got the lentils. By adding the lentils to this soup, this is going to increase its protein content significantly. And yes, you might have guessed, of course, there's going to be some kimchi going into the soup, and that will be added when the whole cooking process is finished. Just getting a quick hit of the chili and the turmeric and the ginger, combining with the fermentation process. So delightful. A little hit of this ginseng tea. Doesn't matter whether it's hot, warm or cold. The flavour still, it goes into the taste buds and it kind of grabs hold of them and it just gives them a hard squeeze. And that is a flavour to savour. Right. So I'm happy about the length of time those ingredients have had being exposed to salt or the oil. So now we're going to change the pace, and the way we change the pace is by adding the water. So this water is harvested from limestone rich area of Somerset, a place called Pitcombe. So this goes in, and I want to pour the water in to cover the vegetables, which means that's it. That's all in there. And at this point I need to whack the heat up to maximum. Let's just see if we can get a little bit closer to that pan now that we're starting to change the... there we are, that's it, good. And to this I am going to add the lentils. So before I do, I need to just give these lentils a little wash, which means I'm going to need a sieve. So it's, can I do this? I don't know. Okay. So let's just pour the lentil water mix into the sieve, and then just give it a wash like that. Get the last few fragments out. There we go. Leave that. Now, because these carrots are so fresh, what I could do is I could consider, and it's a personal lifestyle choice this, shall I put some of the carrot tops in? I could do. That's an option. It's definitely an option. So let me just bring myself back here again to the pan. Right. So I've given them a little drain, and I'm just going to knock them in like that. Last few little fragments out. There we are. Another little stir. And I'll just keep my eye on that until it's ready to boil. And then when it reaches boiling, I'm going to turn the heat down and simmer for 20 minutes. And then it will be done. Thank you very much.